Hello, everybody, and welcome to this brand new episode of Music to Live For with Shanti. Today, I will talk with the Italian piano player Elisa Rumici about his brand new album. So let's go!
Check this out. Music to live for with Shanti.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this brand new episode. I'm here with Elisa at the Music Academy in Basel, and we have the chance to talk to her about her brand new album. Hi, Elisa, how are you doing?
Hi, Shanti. Thank you for inviting me. I'm super happy of being here. A bit excited and a bit nervous as well.
Well, that's great because we need this emotion, and they're gonna be through the podcast, and this is what also the audience want. We are human being in the end, right?
I guess. So I'm very happy of being here. I'm Elisa Rumici. I am an Italian pianist. I was born in a small town near Udine, but I moved to Basel 3 years ago, more or less. And I've been studying here already for a while. I'm really in love with this city.
Oh yeah, I also felt in love with the Basel while I started studying here, musicology, and I got this special vibe. I don't know, in some ways it's Swiss, but it's still international.
Yeah.
And for what is about music, you got everything you need.
Yeah, I love because it's a small city, but as a musician, you have everything what you need. So it's perfect. It's really perfect. And this is also why I decided to record the album here, because this place is just so important for me. So I felt like I wanted to record my album exactly in this city. This was special for me. It was something I really cared about. Yeah.
But this is one of the topic that I think the most interesting, because I think in the last 2 years, many musicians had the chance to collect their ideas and start recording something, because it was the best option to let know about your music, your point of view, or your interpretation on a specific composer, or composition.
Yeah.
And so you decided to record the album in Basel because you felt the right atmosphere and everything.
Yeah.
But let's go straight to the album. What's the title and what you played?
So the title is A Musical Journey, and it's a CD that, the idea started during the first lockdown. I felt distant from everything. Of course, I was not able to travel. I spent a lot of time alone. So I really started seeing in music a way of traveling to discover other countries, other cultures. And this is what the improvisations by Bartók represent for me, because it's really a way of exploring the Hungarian culture that is very distant from the culture I know, because I grew up in Italy. So I played Bartók, and I played 4 pieces by Liszt that are dedicated to Italy, because there is the paraphrase on Ernani, which is an opera by Verdi. And then there are the 3 Sonetti del Petrarca that belong to the second year of pilgrimage in Italy. So all these pieces, of course, made me feel very close to my country. And I don't know, I think that maybe this is something common, that when you move to another country, you feel like you're ready to experience a lot of new things, you're ready to discover a lot of new things. But then after a while, the moment you can't really go back home, you really miss home. For me, it was like this. I really felt very Italian, very connected to my culture. And this is why I really wanted to pay homage to Italy through these pieces. And then I think this is also something that was quite common during the many lockdowns we had. that was that we spent a lot of time alone. We were isolated. And for me, this was also a good occasion to, really take time for me, work on myself, take really time. And the pieces by Scriabin that I recorded, so the fourth sonata and the poem Vers la Flamme, these are really about an inner journey. It's a sort of inner journey towards the light. In one piece, in the sonata, is represented by this idea of a star, while in Vers la Flamme is this travel, this journey towards the flame. So, but it's always the same idea in the end. So, yeah, this album is about travel.
But we also have really emotional topics, as you said, the distance, the loneliness, the traveling, of course, and the fact that we were stuck in somewhere place at home or in a country or in a foreign country, and so words, music, this was the only thing that we can really share through social media platform like Zoom, but always with this kind of distance, I mean physical distance, that it was forced. And we I suppose we read in many books or many biographies or musicians and composer that through the years went through different periods, hard times, and this also influenced their own music. And in some ways, these last 2 years had really this, let's say, power to shape and manipulate so many situations. Of course, in the beginning, nobody knew really how to deal with that, because the whole world just stopped. And I suppose that, as in many things, time just gives you the right answers. And I know that many musicians had to struggle to realize that, okay, for the next months, I won't be able to play with orchestras or my ensemble in front of a public. So what I'm going to do? And I saw this in different kind of music. There's a lot of good bands that also took the time to release new music. And it was very interesting because you notice some changes in the sound or any ideas behind an album. So I can imagine that if somebody plays like a solo instrument, or where you can use your virtuoso, let's say, and from that specific, maybe in 10 years, when somebody's gonna hear what they recorded, they will say, oh yeah, I can feel that this specific artist felt the weight of the situation.
Yeah, for me, music was really a way to overcome these borders, the borders of my room, the borders of my house, the borders of everything. And music was not only a way for me to escape, but also a way to really connect to people that were distant, because of course I couldn't really play during concerts. This is something I couldn't do. So I felt the need to overcome this distance in a way, and recording a CD for me was the best way of doing it. So I really hope people will like it and will feel something while listening to it.
Well, I really hope that the audience after the episode is gonna take the time to go and check this album, and also maybe just give a feedback in the comment of the episode, because it's always interesting to see what people feels from that. Because, and Elisa, I would like just to go back a little bit in time and ask you, how did you choose to play the piano? I think it's always interesting to understand how a specific musician go into a specific instrument.
Yeah, I'd like to have a super cool story, but I don't. Well, I fell in love with music as a child because at home my mom had many classical music CDs, and I remember I was particularly fascinated by Debussy. But the decision of playing the piano, I'm afraid I must be honest, it was because of a Disney movie, the Aristocats. How do you say it in English? Because there were all these cats playing the piano, and that's how that's how it started.
Well, it's funny, and this is how it
Yeah.
also has to be, you know. There is always this idea that classical musicians are really, let's say, serious, but in a way like, oh, and compose, how the state look like and everything. Like, yeah, I don't know, in some way kind of boredom. but but then listen to this kind of story. Like, okay, I was a child, I was watching this, and what I saw just inspired me, or just start, the sparkle,
Yeah.
to get interesting, to know more what a
Yeah.
piano is.
I mean, as a child, this was just something I did for fun. But then growing up, I was very lucky because I met some teachers who really opened my eyes. I really don't know how to say it, but because of their lesson, I really understood what music meant. I started reading a lot of books about music, going to a lot of concerts, and also my way of playing, of course, changed. It evolved, and music became something so strong, so important. And I must say that I really had the privilege of studying with great pianists who really made me feel how important music is. So, of course, this was my story as a child, but then I feel like you choose to become a pianist, to do something so out of the ordinary. Also, I feel like this is something you choose every day because it's a life choice. It's not just about, what you like to do and if you have talent or not. It's really about sometimes also making some sacrifices, and, sometimes it's not easy. And I was also very lucky because my parents have always been incredibly supportive. They are not musicians. But they understood that this was something important for me, and really they've done everything what they could to allow me, to try it and try to become a pianist. So I'm very grateful. I feel like we all have to face difficulties. We all meet people who are maybe very negative or a bit toxic, but I really want to focus on people who helped me and allowed me to grow. So yeah, I'm very grateful for all this.
Yes, of course, the background from where somebody come always shape and influence a career, a story, an evolution, and so important because I think sharing this kind of information, because sometimes it seems that some musicians are able to play that instrument because it's by nature, is in their bloods, when maybe behind there is, of course, a huge passion for what they're doing, but a lot of, as you said, struggle, sweat and tears. I mean, it's an art way. It's like, it's a profession that involves, of course, the technique on the instrument, but also a strong mental strength, I would say, because of focus and everything. Of course, the climax is to find a balance in between what is how you interpret your passion, sorry, and your the fun part, of course, because if you spend, I mean, in the end, you need to find this way that you say, if I play in that specific way, I'm able to express myself. I'm able to also to show to the audience that this is my style, this is my way to interpret this specific music.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes with my students, I compare the job, the role of a musician with the role of an actor, because I feel like, well, if you're a composer, of course, you play your own music, so you are totally expressing yourself. But when you are playing the music written by someone else, and I find that this is, at least for me, even more interesting and more challenging. You are expressing yourself, but you really have to express the intention of a composer. You really have to, like an actor becomes a character, you have to really convey the message inside that piece. And this can be challenging because sometimes you play music that maybe is very distant from you, but this is also a beautiful opportunity of, of experiencing something new. So there's always a bit of you as a musician, but a lot of a composer. At least this is what I hope. And I love this. I really love this. I find this an incredible challenge, but also very beautiful. And I also like how every concert, every interpretation is always unique. It's never the same. Every day it changes a bit. It changes together with you. And this is why I say that, at least for me, I feel like music has to be something honest. You can't fake an emotion. During the time of a piece, whatever emotion it is, even if it's something that in your everyday life maybe you don't really feel so much, but during the time of the piece, you need to feel it for real. It has to be part of you in that moment. And this, for me, it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's good that you took out a topic about emotions, because I guess 1 week ago, I seized the day because it was like San Valentine days, and I just made like a short live on Instagram about 3 albums that for me revoke a lot of emotion because of the music, but also the lyrics.
Okay.
And doing that, the whole dialogue went into the direction where it's incredible how everybody, even people that are not really into music every day as a musician or a listener, they have that one song that it's the time machine. Like every time that they listen to that specific song, memory bring back to a specific moment, happy or sad. But at the same time, it's so fascinating. I mean, maybe they're the first saying, oh, it's incredible, because every time I listen to that song, I can stop thinking about that moment. And it's such a wonderful thing, because you can put a record on a stereo and having that feeling, but also having the chance to see the musician on stage and also feeling in a different way, because live music is totally an experience on itself. And I remember working in Zurich, and I had like the concert of my life, because I remember my boss coming with the schedule of the concert I have to prepare, and I saw that it was Jan Tiersen.
Okay.
And I always loved his music for the well-known movies, Amélie Poulain, but also from other movie from Germany. And I had the chance to have him there on stage, and it was really interesting because was very kind but very silent person.
Okay.
You know, then he went on stage, did the short rehearsal, so they checked the lights and everything, just got back in the backstage. And then the moment of the concert, it was very, very special, because he went on stage and you see this person a little, really, you see what's gonna play, how it's gonna be the act, you know. And see him playing, sitting on the piano, but he also played other different instrument. You understood why his music, the music composed, sounds like this. So you could really relate to the artist, seeing the artist himself, and to the sound. And this was something that of course you can do with Mozart anymore, but you know, like, it was so interesting. So this is why I really enjoy working on project where the composer is there, because it's not just saying, oh yeah, I want that play like this or like that, but it's like all the musician orchestra really better understand what they are playing, and the way also how to play it. And of course the audience receive that.
I mean, one of the concerts that changed my life was a concert by Brendel. I remember this incredible concert. It was in Udine. I was very young. I don't know how old I was, but I was really a child. And I was shocked. I was really shocked. It's been one of the biggest emotions of my life, because seriously, the atmosphere of a concert, this is one of those moments that I will always remember. Like when some years ago I listened to Trifonov in Torino, I was like, you know when you're listening to a genius, you know when you're experiencing something like this moment, I will never forget it. So I mean, I feel like during this whole pandemic, this crazy pandemic situation, we all really realized how important concerts are, how important live music is. I mean, this is something you can't replace. Yeah.
Yeah, because go to a concert, is an expression of an interest of something, of course, but also is an experience. Is it's like go to the church. Let's say
Totally,
like
totally. Also because, during the time of a concert, it's one of the very few moments we have in our daily life where we can sit down, take our time, and just listen. Because in our everyday life, and I'm talking especially about myself, I must say I'm not better than anyone else in this. We are always distracted by 100 million inputs, But during a concert, you don't have to think about anything else. You sit and you just listen.
Yeah.
And in our super crazy, chaotic everyday life, this is a luxury. This is really a luxury.
Definitely. And I'm glad that in the last months here in Basel, we always had like this chance to witness some small live events.
Yeah.
And I remember being on one of your concert. It was like a matinee in a church here.
Yeah, in January,
and I took the time to take a look around and see the person that were sitting at the concert, and I noticed that they were really enjoying it. Were really like hypnotized for the idea to be there and enjoying the music. And yeah, once again, the power of music in the full effect, I would say. And even for me, it's been really a good moment, honestly, really, because um I've been lucky enough to been able to work even 2020.
Yeah.
2021, I kept working music, but not directly on stage, and I really miss that, because I miss the contact with artists that I know, friends, and doing the job I like. But I always kept one foot in that world.
Yeah.
So I can only, and it was hard sometimes.
I can
So I
believe
can
it.
only imagine find yourself in a situation where it's you have just simply no opportunities. So once again, I suppose that the hot topic of last year was, how do you reinvent yourself as a musician?
Yeah.
I found interesting that you found really the time to think about a record.
Yeah.
You choose these topics about paying tribute to your land, and at the same time involve emotion, involve the idea of traveling without move your body out of the room. But this is, I hope that the audience will take this like a good idea, because I was talking with a couple of musicians, and it's, you notice that for some people it's more spontaneous to find a solution, or for other people it's difficult really to get this new idea. It's also a little bit scary, because you say, I invested a lot of time and this is my passion, and now what should I do?
Yeah, I mean, you have to see it like this, as every crisis is a change. And every change gives you the opportunity of being very creative. Of course, there can be terribly and super tough moments, but in this sense, an incredible example that I have is my mom, because my mom never gives up. Every time there is something happening, she always finds a solution. She always finds the way of reinventing herself or dealing with difficulties. And yeah, having my parents next to me helped me to overcome these problems, of course. So recording the CD, then I recorded some videos where I play some music, and something that I must say changed for me was that although I've always loved to play chamber music, so play with others, now I feel like I want it even more. Like I really like to spend time playing with other people on stage, sharing music, working together. I feel like I really wanna, the key of all this period for me was the need to share in a way or the other. So, for example, exactly now I started playing with a clarinetist. He's amazing. Some months ago, I played in a trio. Now I'm also playing with an incredible saxophonist. I played for a while with a friend. We did an interesting project about the Italian composer Malipiero. We transcribed a concerto for two pianos and we played it together. So after this isolation, I really started feeling the need of playing with others, even more than before.
Yeah, sharing this experience, the experience of playing is something wonderful. I mean, I have had my small experience playing small ensemble in classical music as percussionist, but also playing with my old band as a teenager, but also later. It's always a special moment, like, because you're there, of course, because of the music, but you're also there as a person. So you share it.
Yeah, I was reading this book the other day about a composer who said that if music is not everything for you, then you are an amateur. So music is not enough for you, something like this. And it made me think a lot about this complex relationship, because Martha Argerich said something like that. The piano is a very jealous lover. He needs all your attention, you know. He can't be the second. And yeah, I realized really how during this lockdown, music meant so much for me, because it was everything what I had. But at the same time, how having some good friends, how having my parents next to me, how having my boyfriend next to me, it was something I maybe some people forget how important these small things are, but they are not small at all. This is everything. So yeah, as you said, we are musicians, but we are also persons.
This is also the goal of my podcast. Try to bring this more personal experience beside the practical ones or the experience in your career or something like this, because one of the things that helped me to learn my job or the way to move in this world of arts was in the end really talking to conductors, to musicians, to other technicians, and then you learn from other experience, different point of view that helps you. Also, in my specific case, let's say the setup of an orchestra, that for specific project, that is kind of desire of the orchestra to have this and that, small things, but for that project that would just make the situation perfect, and you get this, just get in touch with the person.
Exactly. I mean, as a musician, and our role is changing a lot in the last year because society is changing. So our role inside the society is changing as well. So the job of a musician is really connected to people, to the audience. And I feel like often musicians forget it. For example, I'm very lucky because my boyfriend often comes to listen to my concerts. And although he's not a musician, we often talk about music. And because he's not a musician, this helped me to really see music from another perspective. And I really thought, how can I bring classical music? How can I convey this message that might feel a bit distant from our world now to people who are not very into this world? How can we musicians talk with people who are not used to live classical music? So it's really, as you said, in the end, it's all about the connection you have with others. I mean, music, I feel like the most incredible masterpieces we have, think about Beethoven. His music is always new. His music is always alive because this music always talks to people, no matter the nationality, the religious, their ideas, but this music always conveys a strong message. And I feel like as musicians, this is what we should try to do now, also with an audience that is changing.
No, I can totally agree, and I'm really happy that this came out because it's something that I try to share the most as I can through the podcast. Because even for me, doing this project, it's like okay, giving my own opinion, but at the same time, willing to listen to my guests and try to get more in touch with this idea. Because I always been interested to see how people interpret things, how people see things, and the most you are able to listen to and compare can just give you more, let's say, a strong opinion on what you're doing. Like, okay, it's like maybe we are nowadays we are like used to a lot of receiving a lot of critics and comments, but in a way that not really with a specific goal. It's just like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that, like this. But yeah, maybe sometime if you have this contact with your audience or people around you, you can, and you get this in person, let's say, maybe this is something important, like having a feedback, talking to somebody, drinking a coffee. Could be coffee always. Yeah, it could be definitely the best way for you to rethink or to and then you decide to which way have these comments, this conclusion to your work.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I feel like as musicians, we shouldn't always be playing the same pieces everyone knows. I mean, the history of music is full of musicians who wrote beautiful things, but then for some reason, maybe even bad luck, you know, they were a bit people forgot them. And this is something I really like to do. I always like to play some composers that people know and some composers that they don't know so much, or maybe some pieces that they haven't listened to, so that I have the opportunity of make them experience something new as well. For example, this is something I did, for example, playing contemporary music. I noticed that it's very difficult for the audience sometimes to really feel open and ready for contemporary music. So this as a musician is a challenge, you know, trying to give opportunity of appreciating it, of discovering it.
Yeah, our society is always like this, is get used to something.
Yeah.
And when you bring something new, it's always hard to accept the change. I mean, you see in the fashion, the way people are wearing or some trends. Yeah, I suppose we can take as example, like in between the 70s and the 90s, all these movements and ways. But the society always seems, there is a singer, a rapper, sorry, from Italy that it sings something like every generation hate the one that came after.
Yes.
You know, and in some way this is ironical because it's not hate, but we have to admit that there is this these are times sometimes to really understand or accepting that things just changed and there is something new coming, of course, then that could be something very interesting and artistic in a way, and other things are just superficial that will never get over. But this is I have a question for you, and maybe this would be also interesting for the audience, about the method you used to record. I mean, there is something for you when you were sitting at the piano and say, okay, I'm ready to record this piece. I mean, what can help you? Do you have, or I mean, you don't have necessarily to go through the process, but there is some advices that you could give to others, because
well, I can tell you the way I did. I mean, I must confess, I'm very nervous before recording. It's something that makes me feel very nervous because I feel the pressure that everything has to be perfect. This is a pressure that as classical musicians, we always have. And many musicians from the past, they just didn't care, you know, they just focus on the message and didn't care so much about mistakes because, come on, we are human beings, you know. We are not meant to be perfect. Mm-hmm. So before recording, I really tried to think about what was the message I wanted to convey. And I was lucky. I recorded for this amazing label based in Basel. It's called Reinvent. And they helped me with the entire process. And we decided to record the piece without stopping, without, you know, recording just one part and then another and then putting all together, because maybe this way you're sure you're not making a lot of mistakes. But for me, it was most important to play the entire piece, to have an execution that is honest, that is where the message comes first, and then right and wrong notes. Okay, one has to pay attention, but this comes as second step, you know. So for me, it was important to just play the entire program. I played it, of course, more than once. And then we chose what was the best version. And that was it. I mean, I really feel like you have to think what matters for you. You have to think what's the most important thing to you? What's your priority? For me, the priority was to play something real, like in a concert. Okay. Like in a concert. Of course, when you play in a concert, you play the piece once and you have to hope everything goes well. When you record a CD, you can play more than once. So this helps a bit. But I didn't get crazy, you know, playing just one page and then another page. I feel this is not an honest way for me of communicating the message I had to communicate. So that was my way.
Yeah, it is interesting because even in other kind of music, before it was like this, you record all in one.
Yeah.
Maybe also all the band together.
Yeah.
And then it comes out this trend, I would say in some ways is a process that could be useful, but separate the tracks, separate everything. But as you said, it's able to give you a product that is more precise and more, you can redefine and little things like this. But then it's interesting because this is something that's also come back again, like bands or ensemble recording all together in once, because in the end you can feel it that it was like this. So do you think that maybe in the future you will record something while you are playing in a concert?
That would be nice. That would be super interesting. In that sense, I have some nice recordings that are live, but they are with video. And I have shared some of them already on my YouTube channel. I will share more of them. It would be beautiful to record an entire CD like this. I would love to do so. This is probably something that if I will have this privilege, I will certainly do in the future. This is really, I mean, when you listen to some incredible recordings by, I don't know, Horowitz or Rubinstein, and they are live recording, you don't care if there is one mistake because the way they play, it's so powerful. The message they are giving you, it's so powerful. It comes before anything else. And this is the approach I actually like to music. Yeah. And also, I'm saying this very often to my students when they get crazy because they have to play in public. And what if I make a mistake? What if this happens? And what if... And of course, you have to practice as much as you can. You need to be as prepared as you possibly can. You need to be more prepared than what you need. But in the end, it's such a privilege because it's a privilege for the audience to have sometimes just for listening, just times just for themselves, for music. But it's an incredible privilege for you as a musician as well. You have for the entire time of a concert, a lot of people sitting there and listening to you. How often does this really happen in everyday life? This is really a privilege. And this should come before anything else. What message are you trying to convey? And what message you as part of the audience are you receiving? How are you feeling?
Yeah, exactly. This is the things also I think is so important. And honestly, you would talk about errors, but I suppose that people that are musicians or they know the score, something like this, maybe can catch that error, let's say. But maybe the audience, as you said, they are so focused when you as a musician concentrate yourself in that moment to express yourself, and you made that mistake. You know you did it, of course, but maybe the audience were so impressed of your playing, the fact that they say that you are enjoying doing it in that moment, in that room with this person around, that they, it's not say that they don't care, but it's the fact that they are focused on what is your goal, sharing that specific moment, this pleasure of playing this music with your emotion for them.
Yeah.
So I can understand this balance in between being really severe with yourself, but on the other side, as were saying before, really find your way to enjoying what you're doing. Because I suppose this is important really for many young musicians. Maybe they also listen to the podcast that they are there looking for inspiration, everything. Just I suppose that I support them because I think it's important. Live your dream. You find a way to express yourself, but not push yourself as our society is also used to do in many different things. Music is a good thing. Just go for it. And you will, I suppose that more you take it in some way and you also understand how do you work as a musician. It's a little bit also as somebody's a student at university. You find your way to study, you know, which time is better for you, or where is better for you study, and which method is better. And the same way at the instrument, when you find a way, you will see that also keeping the passion, the fun, you will understand which is your method, and you can reach your goal at the same in the same way and with the same powerful meaning that it's to say your expectation as an artist and as a musician. Elisa, I thank you very much for having this talk, because it's quite a long time where we were talking about this.
Yeah,
because we got in, it's funny because we get in touch here at the Music Academy because I was scouting a couple of musicians willing to do some project with at the time this it's an association from Zurich called Guerrilla Classic, and I was still always looking for musicians willing to share special experience in the city and in the urban environment. So quite interesting. But yeah, we had the chance to get in touch, and I was following you on social media, and I was really interesting. I really love the fact that you are willing to share your experience with no shame. I mean, like this is you, Elisa. This is you as a musician, you know. And I thought, yeah, we definitely need to take a time. I since the day when you told me, you know, I record a CD.
You were one of the first people who knew, also who saw the photo, who saw.
And thank you very much for trust me. I really enjoyed this process, you know. And then now we had the chance, so I thank you very much to be part of Music to Live For with Shanti. This is my podcast. I'm your host, Shanti Perpellini, and you can find my podcast on all the online platforms like Deezer, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Elisa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course, all the information about you, your album, your career, that will be in the description of the episode. If anybody's got any question, can contact me on the podcast channel, but of course also directly to you, because there will be your Instagram account connected. Once again, thank you very much, and I wish you all the best for your career.
Thank you so much.
Music to live for with Shanti.